and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April Admansky, and I'm here today with...
Justin DeClue.
And Colin Cunningham.
Oh, don't want to make too much noise.
Oh no, here it comes though. Ow!
Oh Jesus, no.
Don't scream.
It's Shocktober in the fall.
So is Halloween just going to start bleeding into other months? Like, is it?
Yeah, man. Halloween, it goes into November. It's Halloween, Christmas.
I will say, I feel like we hadn't watched like a horror movie, I think, in a long time. So watching this and Malignant 2 nights in a row, it was kind of like, oh, the fall is here, you know.
Get a double dose of your James Wan.
Yeah, I mean, we do watch horror movies, but like, it's nice to kind of make a what do you call it?
Oh no, April's voice has been stolen by a dummy.
Make a thing about it in the fall. Okay, so we're talking about Dead Silence. Now, is this James Wan's first directorial debut?
That would be Saw.
His first directorial debut.
This is his second movie.
April, when we talked about it before, you were like, I haven't seen that many James Wan films. I was surprised you hadn't seen Saw.
I actually haven't seen any of his horror movies, I don't think. I've seen Aquaman, his Fast and the Furious, Fast 7.
Fast and the Furious 7 technically, starred a ghoul.
Vin Diesel?
Yeah. Do 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 do. No, the CGI visage of Paul Walker.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, so I his movies just never really appealed to me. I mean, I like Patrick Wilson and Via Farmiga, but the Warrens movie, he did those, right?
Yeah,
The Conjuring,
but Patrick Wilson is also
Conjuring.
in the Insidious movies too.
Mm-hmm. That's
Patrick
right.
Wilson is in 2 of James Wan's horror
Did he
franchises.
do Sinister?
No, that is
No.
Scott Derrickson that did Sinister.
You got to admit, they all kind of bleed together. Those type of horror movies don't really appeal to me. They seem very high on the jump scares. And this movie, while I did enjoy it, it did kind of have that feel.
I feel like we've talked about this before, and I was like, what is a horror movie without jump scares, though?
Well, I mean, Malignant didn't really have that many.
It definitely did.
I'm sure it did.
Not
It had some
like
moments.
this, though.
But I think we've talked about this before, and the difference when someone says like a movie has a lot of jump scares, I think it's because they don't buy into the reality of the movie, and so the jump scares feel cheap to them.
Yeah, where it's not scary in its own right. Whereas, like, if you look at something like, say, Drag Me to Hell, Sam Raimi, that movie is nothing but jump scares.
But no one will ever call it a jump scare movie.
I agree.
No, because
it's
it's the tone of the movie. It's just a fun movie. Like, it's a kind of like roller coaster thrill ride of a movie.
Well,
like,
there is a dual definition of jump scare. Some
Yeah.
people consider jump scare being the false, like, oh, it was just a cat, or
I just let some gas out. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, like that's just there to startle you, to keep you on edge when nothing scary is happening. If something scary is happening, that's great. But I also don't just like random, like, either loud noise or random
Like,
monster face, just like just to like, it
I
should be
hate
something
it
crazy
legitimately.
happening.
Well, hate it is a strong word, but I react so involuntarily to it, whether it's like good or bad, that my friends know that I'm famous for putting my fingers in my ears and looking down at the ground when I know a jump scare is coming.
Oh yeah,
Because I like jump, like it makes me feel not good.
yeah. You can tell when they're coming. And
Yeah.
like there's the old mirror fake out.
Yeah.
When someone's looking in the medicine cabinet.
Yeah, of
They
course.
open the mirror, and then when they close it,
It's a
somebody's
different
face is going to
or
be
someone's
there.
in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a
so
really
it-
good one in this movie, but we'll get to it. I should say that I was a big Saw head, #1 when it came out. Loved it when I saw it. Followed what James Wan was doing next. I love the story that there's a guy from Australia. He and his friend, they made a movie with almost no money. They shot Saw in a ridiculous short amount of time too. And it was a huge
right,
hit
yeah.
when it played at Sundance, I think.
Started a huge franchise. How many Saw movies were there in the end?
Well, including Spiral. It's like the Fast and Furious at this point.
I don't think they're
like
involved with
six.
that anymore.
But did James Wan direct any of them other than the first one?
I
Nope,
don't
he
think
did
so.
not, because after that, Darren Lynn Bousman took over, and the kind of torture
right.
porn idea of the Saw movies more came out of Darren Lynn Bousman's works than it did from James Wan stuff.
Yeah, and as much as the crazy continuity of the Saw movies does sound appealing to me, I think if I was going to watch one, I would watch the first one because it's much. But it's before it got. Really
I'm going to go on
torture
record here.
porn.
I think the first one is one of the ones I like the least out of all the Saw movies.
Right.
And yeah, so I looked it up. $700,000 Saw cost, shot in 18 days.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so that's very impressive. And I remember when it came out, I was very excited for his next movie, Dead Silence. And I don't know why I was so excited, but I remember it coming out and being very disappointed that there was no Slappy doll from classic Goosebumps running around killing people. That was my big disappointment when I saw it finally.
You wanted it to
That
be like
doll
Child's Play or
does
Yeah,
something?
exactly.
It looks like Slappy from Goosebumps.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I called it Slappy at one point.
I'm not a goose head or whatever you call it.
Wait, what is the name? So, are you guys big ventriloquist dummy fans? I mean, I would love to own a ventriloquist dummy, but I've been told by
why?
Emily that I am not allowed.
I was just going to say that. I'm like, Emily would kick you out.
What is
That's a
the
step
name
too
of the
far.
one in Magic? It's like Fat something, right?
The one in what?
Magic. It's an Anthony Hopkins movie.
Oh, I don't even know that movie.
Oh fuck! It's so disturbing. I
It has
hate them.
famously. It has an amazing trailer where it's like just pushing in on the dummy's face.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's. I hate them. I hate the look of them.
Oh yeah,
I just-
the dummy's name is just Fats
oh, so-
in Magic. Yeah.
I think the only dummy I may have liked in a movie was Black Devil Doll from Hell.
oh God Almighty!
It's the least creepy.
Yeah,
Just
you
so-
like him. You like him in the living room and the bedroom.
But the thing that's annoying about
Jesus.
movies like this is the doll obviously looks like a horror character.
But they've
Yes.
always looked
You
like
know?
horror characters.
Yeah,
Like,
Well,
they
this one
they
even more
exaggerate it.
so.
So it's like, why would anybody see that and be like, at the beginning, when she's like, "Ah, isn't this doll funny?" It looks like a freaking hell spawn.
Yeah, it looks like it's straight from a horror movie.
but
And,
it's like
no,
clowns, right? Where it's
yeah,
like.
but this one, the
more
design of
horror.
it is more. It's more horrific,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like no like old lady is going to sit on stage with this doll.
Well,
and-
actually,
and it
yeah.
like delight children.
I mean,
with,
I have
you know-
photos for you, Colin, of some ventriloquist
Doll,
dummies.
they are creepy, but it's like the Annabelle doll. It's like, who would have that as a doll? Even like the good guy doll from Chucky is creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks horrific. He looks like he's going to murder you.
I mean, have you ever seen the original Annabelle doll, like from the real story? It just looks
Isn't it
like
just like a Raggedy Ann,
Raggedy
or-
Ann, yeah.
Yeah, it's Raggedy Ann. But you know,
So,
whatever.
Dead Silence. I guess you guys never saw the movie till you decided to pick it for this episode?
No, so I had seen it way back in the day. I think before I even saw Saw, and I had no memory of it other than
Donnie Wahlberg,
a
you mentioned.
crazy reveal at the end, and that
Yes.
Donnie
I
Wahlberg
remember
was in
when
it.
the movie started, I was like, I remember a twist, and then I realized it as it was playing. Because it does a good job of actually, like, if you're looking for it, it's very evident.
It
No,
does.
but I didn't know it, and
April
I didn't see it. I kind of guessed it without realizing I had guessed it.
You
but-
can
Yeah.
see you can see a character like mouthing dialogue as someone else's. Anyway, we'll get to it.
Yeah. So, well, this was, I don't know. I think it was a bomb, and I was
Huge bomb. Universal, they kind of dumped it because they're like, we don't know what to do with this. Just don't barely advertise it, put it out. Let's forget
Yeah,
about
and
it.
I think like Lee Winnell and James Wan were very disappointed, and I think the studio just interfered with it too much. And Lee Winnell,
And it pretty much killed James Wan's career. He had one more shot. He made the actually very good Kevin Bacon Death Warrant. What is it called?
I think it was called Death Sentence.
Death Sentence, yes. Where based on the book of the same guy who wrote
Death Wish.
Yeah, and it's good. It's like it's very early inklings of the action you would do in like Fast 7 and Aquaman.
So is it a horror movie or more of a?
No, it's an action movie. It's like a revenge film. Like Kevin
like
Bacon's son is killed, during like a robbery, and it kind of like eats away at him until
I've never seen it.
Good.
I'm intrigued.
Would
And I
recommend.
haven't- yeah, okay, I got to check it out then because I gotta watch the whole oeuvre.
And after that, it wasn't until James Wan was given the reach out from Blumhouse, where directors get one last shot after a bunch of bombs. Like sometimes it works out, like M. Night, and sometimes it really works out, like James Wan and Insidious, which became a huge hit.
So
Wow,
Insidious
that's
was
crazy.
his like movie back.
That was his saving grace.
Yeah,
I
and like
think,
if that
you
didn't
know,
go well, he probably wouldn't be making movies anymore.
Yeah, and that's probably the reason why he's got like, a huge horror franchise now with The Conjuring, Insidious. You were saying like four Insidious movies? Mm-hmm. He directed The Conjuring and
There's
all of its
3
spin-offs.
Conjurings.
There's 3 Conjurings.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
so
there
many
are
spin-offs.
3
The
Annabelle movies
Annabelles,
at this point.
The Nun.
The Nun.
What about La Llorona? Is that a spin-off?
Well-
Yeah, people don't really like The Nun in La Llorona, so that's those will not be getting franchised.
James Wan probably gets money for
I think
all
they
those.
said, yeah, of course. So he's executive producer and he created, the universe, I guess. So he's making mega bucks on this, this universe he created.
And he's
But-
still rocking an awesome mohawk.
Oh, yeah.
I saw some behind the scenes footage of him shooting Malignant, and he has a mohawk with all the other hair on his head is shaved. And just a
really?
red
Yeah,
mohawk
like
going
the
up in
sides
the air.
are shaved?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always
Yeah,
rocked
yeah,
like a
love
Canadian,
it.
and he's like got like a pink mohawk or something like that.
He looks like in RoboCop 3, it's like, the splatter punks.
Yeah, but he
Coming
looks
after
like
us.
he looks like such a baby, like a little kid or
He's
something.
got a baby face.
It's
Yeah,
like, he looks like he's 12 years old.
Yeah,
or
the
something.
last time I saw him in an interview, I was like, oh, like a
As opposed to
teenager
like
on
the
set?
battered face you'd expect him to have after not only like his career essentially tanking and him being chewed up by the Hollywood machine, but then like the worst thing that could happen to a director on Furious 7.
Oh, God
Oh
almighty.
my God.
What
like have your
happened?
Paul
main
Walker
star
died in the
dying
middle of
in the
filming.
middle of filming.
Oh, yeah, right.
And he has to work with Vin Diesel? What a nightmare.
I thought that's what you guys were talking about.
No,
Yeah, which one would be worse?
definitely Vin.
yeah, yeah.
Because like working with Paul probably, gave him more latitude with Vin. Because he's like, we got to get this movie done, Vin. So I got to do some things, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he probably became even more of an egomaniac.
And he's like,
afterwards.
well,
I'm
we're
sure
making
he was really
we're
broken
making
up.
that CG version of Paul Walker. Is there any way we could do a CG Vin Diesel and so we don't have to work with him?
Listen, our budget's already strapped from removing his double chins. There's nothing else we can do.
Is that what James Wan sounds like?
Well, he's
Yeah, he does. He has a
Australian,
very
I know,
thick
but
Australian
You sounded
accent.
more like a Cockney British
no,
gentleman.
He's an
April,
Australian.
Colin is a master of accents.
Please.
He's the biggest
Hello, I'm
master out of the
James
three
Wan.
of us. Yeah.
I'm James Wan, I is.
Yeah, Lee Winnell, his co-writing partner, as
I'm
also
Lee Wan,
made
I
good-
is.
Oh, James Wan and Lee Winnell are in the room with me. But I actually found, and thanks to some help of people on Twitter, because I asked, being like, hey, this website's down. Can somebody help me find it in the Wayback Machine? That Lee Winnell wrote a big, long article being like, Dead Silence was a disaster from the word go. The script was noted to death. And I hate the way that it came out. And I got to be honest, it feels like the rest of their movies.
I just think that the studio changed it, I don't know, away from what they originally wanted. So to me, it
And they were
doesn't.
pushing him around.
Well, I think from what Lee Winnell was saying is that it wasn't a spec script. This was something that his agent had pushed him to pitch to the studio.
Yeah.
And I guess the studio hired him to write the script. And
So he
because
got
of that-
noted to death.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think he sort of came out after this and said, I'm only doing spec scripts from now on. I'm just selling the final script to the studio if they want it or not. And I'm not, going to take their money and then write what they want me to write.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Listen to this, young people who are getting into the studio system, I guess, that if a studio buys your pitch, they will note you to death because that's all they know how to do.
Yeah.
That if they are not giving notes, they do not feel valid as a person.
That's
So-
their job.
Yeah.
But their job is also to ruin movies.
Yeah.
They
and
don't think they're ruining movies, though.
I have seen,
they're helping them.
I've heard what the original script cut out, and I have seen the deleted scenes from this.
Oh,
and,
Dead Silence? Where did
Yeah.
you see deleted scenes from it?
on YouTube.
Oh, wow. You did your research.
Yeah, there's like other like plot lines and stuff that I don't know if it really makes the movie any better.
But I
Let's say
kind of
that.
felt like the middle of this is kind of boring.
It's. I think the movie's missing some kills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially near the end where it's like, don't scream or they'll steal your tongue. And it's like, yeah, I guess we've seen that twice. I think we need to see that a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, technically, I guess everybody is dead in this town. And there's limited
I mean, the
cast to
main
work with
character, let's call him, I don't know, like generic floppy haired man.
here. Oh my God, he's so bland.
it's Jason from True Blood.
It's Ryan Quanten is his name, and
Ryan Quanten.
Quanten. And as soon as he came on screen, I'm like, man, it looks like he could be like one of the Hemsworth brothers or something like that. Like, the youngest of the Hemsworths. And as it went on, I'm like, oh my God, I think he's Australian. And then I looked him up because I could kind of hear his accent coming through. And sure enough, he is Australian. And like every Australian actor, you were either on, what were the two shows? Neighbours and Home and Away.
Was he on one of those two shows?
He was on Home and Away.
Well, I mean, like I said, he does a great Southern, like Louisiana accent in True Blood. And then you hear his voice in this, and it's like a white piece of paper. Like he has
that hair of
not
like.
there.
Have you guys ever watched a sitcom Happy Endings? That
Yes,
has like
I
a
have.
generic like floppy haired guy.
He does look like that guy.
Yeah, he does.
I don't even remember the character's name, and I watched like 4 seasons of that show.
Great show. Highly recommend Happy Endings. So this movie though, it starts beautifully with a black and white Universal logo.
It's all scratchy and shaky. And
Yep.
it's like, ooh, we're in for some
Oh,
spooky
this will
times.
definitely be like a throwback to old school. Oh, wait, no, everything's blue and new metal-ish. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a new metal opening with like the footage of dolls and the doll like planning.
Can we get
book.
Kyle Cooper to do these credits? No. Can we get his cheaper Mexican non-union equivalent?
It reminded me of like the number 23 credits.
It's
only
funny
not
because,
as good.
having seen Malignant as well, very similar opening credits.
Yeah, and Malignant is from 2021.
Yeah.
And this is what, 2005?
2007.
James
the-
Wan knows what he likes.
Yeah.
He certainly loves new metal because like he continues that into.
Well, we have that in common.
But in the opening sequence, the opening credits anyway, you see, a hand sort of jotting down these notes and
I
stuff
mean,
like
I
that.
have some problems with this because number one, it's not a monster hand, which I would love.
No.
Number two, the details written on these pages are very funny, which is like perfect expression, question
Yeah,
mark.
I was like question mark, and
It's not realistic at all.
and
but
then,
whatever.
I love when you're like, designing. It's all kind of like ventriloquist dummy designs, but then
I mean, there should have been like a page that was like, how scary can I make this dummy?
Yeah, but I love it when the so-called person like writing these notes down are kind of thinking out loud, but writing their thoughts on the page, like
Yeah.
perfect doll, and it says perfect doll multiple times. But yeah, the expression.
How do I
Question
make
mark?
a perfect doll?
It's like, wait, who are you asking? Like the person.
Talking to themselves.
And then from the credits, we go into a shot that lets you know the director knows what they're doing because we're looking through a pipe into someone's face.
And we have Mr. Blandy McBlanson.
Yep, Mr. Bland.
Mr. Bland.
Mr. Bland.
He's fixing the pipes under the sink, I guess.
I
and
love
his-
shots like that. It's that little bit something extra. Lots of those in Malignant, I guess.
It's a little flourish.
This whole sequence is filled with crazy flourishes. His wife comes in, and the camera like zooms from like
Yeah.
low to high,
I love
unmotivated.
that
It's like,
shit.
I think she even looks through the like peephole after the door rings,
Yep,
and it's like
yep.
a crazy shot through the peephole.
Yeah.
yeah,
like
because
really-
someone delivered a package, and what is it? Has this ever happened to you guys? You got like a mysterious package that you don't know who it came from?
I've received somebody else's packages by accident, which always happens now because of Amazon.
It's more like, what's this? I don't remember ordering.
But I've never
anything.
received
And then you open it and you're like, oh, I forgot I ordered that.
Yeah, I've never received a ventriloquist dummy before.
What would you do if you got a ventriloquist dummy in the
I
mail?
was saying to April when I was
Yes.
watching this movie.
I wouldn't even put it in the garage.
This woman is like, joking around with it and saying, oh, I love these things. I would put it right in the fucking incinerator. It would
don't
go.
we don't
incinerator in
have
your
an
building?
incinerator.
I would start an incinerator. I would get.
Colin, that would only give it more power. It's
would-
like, I eat the flame.
I'd get one of those like hobo fires. I'd just get like a barrel, like
Yeah,
an oil
I mean,
barrel.
We could do something. Just
And then
take it
when you
the
go to
park.
bed, you're going to wake up because you hear something. You look in the corner and you smell something burning.
You know what? We live in Toronto. All you would have to do is leave it outside on the curb. Somebody would pick it up.
Yeah, and they would be
Oh,
cursed
yeah, but
forever.
then it would come right back. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
Isn't that what happened in Black Devil Doll? She tried to give it away and it just showed back up.
Why do you keep?
Sorry,
bringing that up?
I'm sorry, but it's a better movie than Dead Silence.
It is not a
Yes,
better
it
movie.
is.
Oh,
You,
my God.
April,
Much
you
more to
are
say.
crazy.
It has much
What
more
are
to
you
say
talking
about the
about?
female condition. It has a better score.
Does it? So sometimes I think
Remember
you're
the
just
Black Devil
you're
doll?
just
Yeah,
I'm
is
not
April
trolling.
like pulling
I
like an
really-
Andy Kaufman-esque troll sometimes?
I really
She's
do
taking the piss, I
like
think.
Black Devil Doll better than Dead Silence.
No,
It's
you
fine.
would-
It's
you would
April
more
got her Black
interesting.
Devil doll tattoo.
Oh.
It's more interesting.
Do you know that there was a fan film called Black Devil Doll? It had another title where it was like more of a jokey affair. And
Yeah, I
it
think we mentioned it on our episode.
and a company made bobbleheads of it, and I got it for my friend, and he's like, I cannot put this out. Like, people cannot see this.
What if they had like, they do those exclusive life-size,
Black
recreations?
Devil doll, and you press a button and its tongue comes out. It's like,
Yeah, it'd be like, the Stan Winston studio creates.
it's like $4,000.
Yeah, just like limited to only 1,500 copies or something.
The bad guy in this movie also has a giant tongue.
Oh,
That's-
yeah.
Oh, do you think it was a Black Devil doll homage? You think James Wan and Lee Winnell are big?
Yes.
Have Black Devil doll BGD heads?
Yeah.
Well, I was so we rented the unrated version. It's only like 2 minutes longer, I think. And I'm like, usually I don't.
Yeah, just go for the unrated.
Usually I don't care for that sort of thing because it's
Yeah, you're more of a button down kind of guy. You're like,
Well,
keep
usually
the
when
violence
it's-
off the screen.
You got to be careful with those director's cuts because sometimes they're like 45 minutes longer.
yeah, and a
You
lot.
don't want that.
Most times they're cut for a reason,
Yeah,
So
but
I
this is
usually
just a
go for the
couple
theatrical.
Well, there was a period of time where companies were like, people like extended versions, and they were just putting the deleted scenes back in the movie. The directors
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
well, I don't want this.
Yeah, it's just.
But then
awful.
other times it's like they had to change things to get an R rating that are like stupid. So like changing blood to make it black instead of red. when
Yeah,
it's supposed to
sure,
be red.
really.
So I want to see the red version,
Yeah, but and then I looked it up online, and the only difference is that the unrated version has the CG tongue. She didn't have the CG tongue in the theatrical, apparently.
Really?
Then
And
like,
that's
what
the-
did she have then? That's my question.
guess
It must
nothing.
have just been a even more boring scene because you need that CGI tongue because she takes tongues.
She
It's
only
her thing.
she only has it in like 2 or 3
yeah,
shots.
Three
it's-
scenes,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I think 2 or 3 scenes.
I
Yeah.
like the CG tongue. It did make me. It did remind me of the licker from Resident Evil, but
Yeah,
whatever.
a little bit. Yeah.
Well, it's like she steals tongues, so it's like she's sewn together tongues
She-
to one big tongue.
yeah,
That's
so
kind of neat.
Her tongue is
visual.
like made up of all the tongues of the people,
Yeah, it's
and like
funny.
all the victims are found with their tongues torn out, and it's part of like the kind of rhyme, I guess.
the legend, the poem. It's
But we're
just a
jumping
poem.
ahead because we're still with Mr. Bland and his wife.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about him that he was even in this movie.
And his wife, I guess Mr. Bland is out of the house, and there's a thunderstorm. I feel there's always a thunderstorm going off in James Wan movies.
Really heavy thunderstorm.
Yeah, so she stays alone at home with this friggin' doll.
And she is so excited to set up the doll to scare her husband.
She's talking to the doll, and then I think she's revealing that she's pregnant because she puts a shirt under her stomach. in
Yeah,
the
she's
scene.
looking in the mirror.
or maybe
guess-
she's like, "What if I was pregnant with ventriloquist
A doll.
dummy?"
Yeah, obviously she was getting ready to prank her husband, which
Okay,
I was
so
just
I have
saying,
to ask. I am not someone that likes to scare my significant other.
This
No.
is so funny because
We just
April
had a
brought this up.
conversation
April
about
brought it up
that.
while we were watching the movie. She's like, "Don't ever prank me."
Well, first of all, why would people who do that are jerks? But like, it's funny for the scarer.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
person who's scared is, freaked out and startled. And if you think that's funny, you're just mean.
And the problem with that is, then there is the fear that will happen at any moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
My cousin would always do that to me when I was a kid, and it got to the point where my nerves were so shot anytime I was just in his house.
How could you do that to
Because I'd
someone you
always be
love?
expecting, and what he would always do is like he would always bust in the bathroom when I was using the bathroom.
God, you must have.
And so I was.
PTSD.
He had these like 2 entrances to his bathroom, like 2
Some of them
doors,
have 2
and no
doors,
matter
yeah.
what, he would always bust in one. So I'd constantly be on edge, and my nerves were just frazzled after.
That is
like,
the worst place to scare. So I gotta admit, when I was a child, I did scare my brother. I crept into his room at night and scared him. And my mother told me, "You cannot do that." I said, "Okay, I'm sorry. I won't do it anymore."
I remember I had my friend over. I think it might have been Sarah actually, and we were watching The Conjuring, I think. And I went to the bathroom, and she kept saying like, "Don't scare me, don't scare me." And I'm like, "Whatever." So I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and she jumped up from behind the couch. And I
scared you?
Yeah, and I had this big goblet of like red wine. I'm just like, it's like
As Colin
all
usually
over
drinks
himself.
giant goblets of red wine.
As you do.
Back then, I'm surprised you were drinking Red Bull.
Yeah, it was
were you
so
wearing a
funny.
white T-shirt as well?
No, I didn't spill it, but I was
Yeah,
just
it was
like,
the
oh
white,
my God.
muscle shirt that Colin used to rock in
Oh,
honor of
yeah.
his hero John McClane.
Still rocking it.
So the
she
wife
tries
is
to
setting up
scare-
the dummy.
Yeah. And then the
then
dummies
something
start
spooky.
scaring her.
I think like something happens. She gets caught up. Like the sheet that she's covering the dummy in kind of wraps around her and pulls her back into the bedroom. And then the husband is outside getting like Chinese food. And
In Toronto, it looks like.
I'm like, I wonder if this was in Toronto. And it was. It was shot in Toronto.
So
Yeah,
many
did you
movies
see how blue it was? Only Toronto films are allowed to be that blue.
It's
Yeah.
like something about James Wan. He likes shooting here.
So many movies that we cover on this podcast, though, are shot in
James
Toronto.
Wan loves shooting in Toronto. Oh, maybe it's because it's cheap. That's why. And the bad movies come here.
Toronto
Exactly.
delivery.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. So this woman gets thrown out in the hallway. She vomits blood. And then she gets pulled toward the dummy, and the camera goes right into her mouth. Oh!
Yeah, and then the husband comes home. You can kind of hear her voice, like saying, "I'm in here," and he kind of sees this trail of blood, follows her, and like finds her body kind of wrapped up in the bed, like the dummy was, and then her tongue has been torn out.
It's your classic stretchy mouth thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
I gotta
know.
say, couldn't they have just built like a dummy head for this? It's
Yeah.
So distracting that her mouth is open through CGI.
Yeah, well, they do that throughout the
Was
movie.
it CGI?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell if maybe it was a practical. I don't know.
No, I think it was CGI.
Now, okay, from now in 2021, we've had so many movies with stretchy mouths.
Yeah.
It's so played out. But maybe at the time it wasn't. Maybe in 2005, 2007, it wasn't completely in everything.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, well, I've seen it. Like, I mean,
Scary
the
about a
Ring-
stretchy mouse monster. Oh my god, his mouth opened more than a normal person. That means you
Yeah.
can put a whole turkey in there.
Yeah,
That
it was
is
like it was
horrifying.
all the rage back in
Yeah.
the day. But I must say, like, as soon as he discovers her body, and he has like no reaction, and that's like a running thing throughout this movie.
Yeah, he has no reaction.
This guy
to
has
anything.
no reaction to anything.
And
I
I'm
was like,
te-
maybe he's the dummy.
telling you, on True Blood, he runs into all kinds of supernatural shenanigans, and he's reacting. So,
Oh, is
I
he
think-
maybe playing the same character from True Blood? Where
could
he's
be,
like,
yeah.
I've seen werewolves, vampires, dummies, nothing.
Yeah, he does play the human in True Blood.
Yeah, he
so.
doesn't. He doesn't react at all. He's like, no, he barely has like a scared face on. And then I think
Yeah.
then we get the opening credits, and then we go back. We cut back to him, and he's like an interrogation room, and we're introduced to my favorite thing.
No,
of
you
the-
beat me to it.
And I never thought I'd be saying this. My favorite thing of the movie is Donnie Wahlberg, he's such a welcome presence in this movie. I think without him, just being with this bland Australian
Yeah,
guy would be too much.
It's a very, I don't want to say over the top performance, but it's
No.
a bigger performance.
It's like slightly comedic. He just injects some life into the movie. It's really funny. He kind of comes into the interrogation room. He's like, right off the bat, you're like, okay, this guy's like a sleazebag cop. He has this awful like handlebar mustache, and he's always like shaving.
He's always shaving. That's
Yeah.
how you know he's grizzled.
He's kind of like dressed like Columbo. That he's
Talks like
He's
Columbo.
got this like battery shaver, and he's always like looking in the mirror, like. Ah. He kind of like says, I know you did it, or whatever. The guy's trying to blame it on the dummy, and he's
thinks
like,
it's
It was
pretty-
the dummy that did it.
Yeah, he thinks it's pretty obvious that he killed his wife, and
Yeah.
so he's on the trail the whole movie.
yeah, he's like, we're letting you go, but we might call you back once we have enough evidence or something like that.
And then the guy decides that he's going to go to the town where he and his wife grew up, called Ravensclaw.
Yeah, but first he goes back
Ravenclaw.
to the crime scene. And steals
the dummy,
steals the
yeah.
dummy. So the dummy, I guess they just left it there.
He's my only friend left.
Well, they were like, this clearly had nothing to do with the murder.
The dummy named Billy, right? That's his
dummy
name,
named
isn't it?
Billy,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
he kind of like he takes the dummy and then he rips open the inside lining of the case, and it talks about Mary Shaw. So when the dummy first showed up, his girlfriend is like, oh, reminds me of this thing in the town where we grew up.
Famous poem.
Mary Shaw. And it was like,
Nursery rhyme.
what was it? Beware.
Mary Shaw, she
beware
had
this-
no children, only dolls.
Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no
It's
children,
stupid.
only dolls. If you see her, do
Don't.
not scream. She'll rip your tongue out at the seam or something. like that.
I love how like April loved the other James Wan film we watched this week, and she's so anti Dead Silence.
I know. I don't get it.
Well, I didn't. I'm not. I dumped. It wasn't terrible, but I didn't.
It's no Black Devil doll. Clearly.
Yeah.
It just didn't do it for me.
Oh my god! I never know
Colin's
what the hell.
stealing my voice this episode. I'm just talking through them.
I am like not. Wow, April, you always surprise me every episode.
As
I'd
some
much rather
opinion
watch that.
unmoored from anything that like sense or taste.
I'm like, all right, well,
So,
do you.
this guy decides to take his new best friend, Billy. Oh, wouldn't it have been amazing if, like, Billy was talking throughout the movie? He's like, we're going to
"Hey,
go solve this
buddy."
mystery now?
oh, that would be great.
That would be better.
Yeah, but going on a road trip. The town is called Ravens Fair, by the way.
Oh, that's right.
Ravenclaw
Raven's
from
Fair.
Harry Potter.
Ravens Fair, or I refer to it as
Raven's Banquet is from Apple TV. Check out the TV show Mystic Quest, Raven's Banquet,
Oh.
on your Apple TV now.
There you go. I refer to the city as Matte Painting City because
It's a lot.
when there are some questionable matte paintings in this movie of the city. So he kind of pulls up. He checks into a motel.
This town is very blue, like our apartment.
Yeah, the color correct is
Wait,
very
April, are you going to tell me that you love this color correct? Please?
No, I didn't. But I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just it's of the
It's
time.
no fight of fury.
Yeah, it is of the time.
It's very intense. I mean,
Who
it's not
decided
the ring,
in the early
you know?
2000s that, you know what's a cool color? Blue.
Blue, yeah. Well,
Let's
the
make-
ring is more blue than this, but this is just like they pulled all the color out of it. It's
Well,
a
the whole
very
idea is like,
aggressive-
yeah, but then the red, that's what pops.
Red pops.
That's the thing.
and
Yeah,
maybe green.
It's almost monochromatic except for the red.
Well, that's what the director of Underworld, Len Wiseman, as we all know his name, I remember him on the Underworld commentary track, which of course I listened to. He was like, I don't like to have like a frame with more than one color. Then you're getting into a Muppet movie.
What?
Oh my
To what I
God.
say, what are you talking about?
Is the one color black?
It's blue. Have you ever seen the Underworld films?
I
They are
saw the
so
first
blue.
one. Yeah.
Even his Die Hard film is all blue for some reason.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't look like a Die Hard
Did
film.
he do the I Frankenstein?
No.
No.
Wait, do you love I Frankenstein? I feel like this has come up before.
Well, we did watch it, and I did enjoy it as a bad movie. I'm just thinking maybe we could do that for the podcast. I'm thinking
Okay.
of it because Bill Nighy is in it, playing basically the same character he played in
Aw,
Underworld,
Little noise.
except he's the king of.
It sounds like we should Dracula Untold, I Frankenstein.
Oh.
novel.
All good options. Okay,
So
back to the
yeah,
doll
now
movie.
Mr. Bland is trying to solve the mystery of what's happening, and by doing that, he goes to basically only two people: his dad and the coroner.
Well, as he's driving through the town, he can see that like all the stores are closed down.
So is it like a ghost town, or is it just they couldn't afford to shoot with
ghost
They couldn't
town.
afford to shoot people or extras, so there's only a couple characters in the movie.
Well, no, all the signs on the windows of the stores and stuff are like closed.
But there has to
Uh-huh.
be stores somewhere. I mean, that woman's making soup.
I think
How's he gonna get his milk if there's no stores?
It might not have been real soup.
think
Amazon doesn't exist.
everybody's dead.
The
Yeah, this is
coroner's
like
alive.
Oshawa.
Yeah,
this is
so-
Oshawa. April.
Still a few people left.
So he
though.
shows up to this mansion, and you realize that he's going back to see his dad. So he comes from wealth, and he meets his new stepmom for the first time, who's very young.
young and hot.
Yeah.
Could
No,
this
something's
stepmom,
up.
who has no other narrative reason, have something to do with the mystery? We'll have to find
I remember
out.
I was like, why would she be married to him? She's obviously in on it, and it's like, well, I guess he's rich, so
He lives in a
that's-
mansion. That's why she's married to him.
Yeah, and so anyway, he refuses to tell him anything. They have like a fight, and
Well,
you
it's very
know.
funny because she like kind of says, you haven't seen your dad in a while, since you left. He had a stroke a few months ago.
Hey, Dad, you seem to be rocking a lot of, nice suits with bow ties all of a sudden. What an odd look.
What are those lines coming down from your mouth? So he, the dad is like in a wheelchair, and the wife's kind of like standing next to him. And April, you called it right away, but you didn't know you did, and I didn't say anything.
Well, I just
Wait,
said,
what did she
I
say?
just
What
said
did April say?
I said he looks like a ventriloquist dummy because of the way he's dressed.
Yeah, the way
Yes.
he's dressed. and
Based
he-
only on that, and also he looked like a corpse. Like
He's
his
like
skin
very-
is like gray. But I
he's-
was like, okay, I guess he's just sick.
He has like very mottled skin, and it's the I forget his name, Bob Gunton. He's the warden from Shawshank Redemption.
And he's been in a lots of. He was in Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I think he plays a poacher in that or something.
Oh, okay.
He's a great actor. Not really given much to do here, but he's.
Is it
fine.
him acting, or is it someone else?
Okay, so they kind of have a fight, and I believe this is when Mr. Bland storms out, and this is my favorite part. I hope it happens here, where he's saying to the new wife, "Look at all these pictures on the wall," and there's all these like terrible painted pictures of like him, the dad and the son, and empty chairs, and I'm like, what's going on? And he says something like, blah blah blah, like he was married to my mom, and then there was another woman, and then when they died, he had them painted out. So
that is insane.
Next time
Why
it's
would
gonna
you just
be
get
you.
new paintings?
Why not take a photograph first of all?
Like the dad's like, listen, it's cheaper just to paint out your mom.
It kills
No,
me that
but
they had a painting and then they had an artist come in and paint a chair over it.
But the funniest thing is that he did start a new painting, but just painted out the old wives and the old paintings.
Yeah,
So it's just
he wanted to see empty chairs.
yeah,
in
it's
the
just paintings of himself and his son with an empty chair, and there's like 5 paintings
Well, it
or
was
whatever.
such a good. They looked great in it, so why throw that
Yeah,
out?
and it just like the artist, whoever had to do these paintings, like the prop painter, they look like child's paintings. They look like somebody.
I mean, they live in a shitty Oshawa-like small town. Are there that many painters around? Like,
Oshawa has an art gallery, so yeah.
wait, don't you hate Oshawa, April, or now you're gonna defend it?
Oh, it's not as bad as the Ravens air.
Yeah, there's
or
no
whatever.
dummies running around and shit
Yeah.
like that. Is there any like Oshawa nursery rhyme? It's like,
Not that
beware the woman with baggy pants, for she just might be one of your aunts.
Not that I know of, but I mean,
Yeah, are there any like urban legends like that or nursery rhymes like from Toronto, Colin?
Oh, I can't
Or from
remember.
where you were?
No, you only hear about them in the movies, like Freddy Krueger and stuff. Like
yeah,
1, 2,
it's a horror movie staple.
yeah.
So, moving on, this mystery that we follow is very weird because the guy seems to visit only 2 places that he goes back and forth to.
Yeah, it's
3.
true.
Yeah, the funeral home.
No, so
Yep.
first, now we meet the mortician. Mr. Blandy Pants is, arranging the
what his
funeral
name is.
of his girlfriend, wife.
Wife.
I love when the mortician gets the body and he like pulls the sheet off. He's like, oh,
And he
not
goes,
again.
Oh my god!
It happened to everyone.
I wish.
Yeah, we meet the mortician's wife as well, who seems to be kind of insane.
I thought that was his sister.
No,
I don't know.
It's his wife.
I was getting sister
Listen,
vibes.
Oshawa vibes, sister, wife. Who cares?
She's crazy.
Yep.
She's
Mentally unbalanced. April.
yeah, sorry.
Isn't she
Talking
playing
to a stuffed crow.
a stuffed crow? That's
which,
right.
Isn't as cute as you might think. It's
That doesn't-
disturbing.
April got her Amazon package of the stuffed crow. She's like, I thought it was gonna be cuter.
No, I don't like a taxidermy. Animals kind of freak me out. a
Oh,
little
they're
bit.
horrifying.
Well, what if I got a dummy riding a taxidermy animal?
Maybe be better. I don't know.
Did I
Wait,
tell you the
if-
story when we were working on that Fly Way Home movie with the
You worked
I
on Fly
do.
Way Home?
yeah. Did I not tell you about
Classic.
this?
No, I don't think I've ever
Yeah,
heard
so
the
we were
story.
modeling. We had to do like CG geese, and we had to go to a taxidermist to get like a CG goose, like a Canadian goose,
For reference.
just for reference to take photos and like the modeling and stuff like that. And then so we had it in the office. Well, first of all, the experience of the taxidermist was horrific. It was just so disgusting and weird. And then he was like, I forget, he was like Eastern European or something. And I went with my boss. And then, so we were waiting outside, and it was like a goose with like its wings sort of spread out. So it had a pretty big wingspan. We're like, God, we got to get a taxi back to the office. And then,
How are you
so
gonna
like,
get
how
it
are we gonna hail a cab? And then the guy's like, oh, they're right. The taxi's across the road at the bus station. And then he goes to my boss. He goes, send the boy to hail a cab. So I had to like run across the street and get a cab.
Were you carrying the goose?
No, but he's like, send the boy.
He thought you were a young boy.
I'm not a
It's
young boy,
perfectly
sir.
understandable.
And then we had this like stuffed goose in the
Colin
office.
looks at himself in the mirror. It's like a ventriloquist dummy stares back. He's like, no!
It's like my shoe shine boy or something. And then we had the stuffed goose in the office, and then we didn't really think. And then I guess the director of the movie came, and then the DP and all these like, Bill Lishman, like the goose lovers and all this stuff. And then my boss is just like,
And all of you were wearing Canadian Goose jackets. It was very embarrassing.
Yeah.
and then, my boss is like, we gotta hide that thing. So we had to like grab it and like run and just like toss it into the office as soon as they came in the door.
You just toss it out the window and it just like floats away.
It like lands on the guy's car.
I've been seeing the geese flying south lately.
Oh, God,
you
it's
see
already
them flying
started.
in the V's.
Canadian geese, apparently assholes.
Yeah, they can be
Huge
jerks.
assholes.
Yeah.
So getting back to the movie, Fly Away Home.
sorry about that.
Dead silence.
Geese, I don't know.
The mentally imbalanced wife of the coroner is
yes.
like, you gotta bury the dummy, Billy. Bury it in the ground. And Mr. Bland's like, I got nothing else to do. I guess I'll bury this dummy.
Yeah, he seems like I don't understand how he kind of decides to go from point A to point B. He just kind of does like things that seem
An issue with this film is that there's not really any stakes other than Mr. Bland's life, which is like, who cares?
It doesn't really seem like his life is even in danger.
Yeah, he
until
doesn't
the
really
very
know.
End.
He doesn't find out.
I had a memory of his wife disappearing, which is why he went back to his hometown.
I see.
That would
which
make
I
more
feel would
sense.
make more sense.
Yeah,
Totally.
I could see that. Or if there was if he knew he was next or something like that, but he doesn't find that out until
He's
really
just
late
like
in the movie.
there investigating it because he has this vague idea, somebody sent me this doll and it killed her, but he doesn't ever really vocalize it that much.
But he has the
so-
funeral for his girlfriend in the town, so I guess
Why would he have it in the town? He even says that they don't speak to her family. So it's like, why do it there?
Well, see, some people showed up, so there are people in this town.
But the thing is, he has the funeral, and I swear to God, there's only like 3 people at this funeral.
And one of them is the funeral director.
I think 2 of them are the mortician and his wife.
Like, didn't they have friends back in the town that they
I
lived
don't
in?
know.
Yeah.
I see this as like, it's got to be a cost-saving measure, but they kind of just write it in.
How many people would come to your funeral, Colin?
Well, like
A dozen?
Here's
I don't know.
Here's a better question. What is the budget of this movie?
Low.
Oh, that's
I
a
would
good
say.
question. Yeah, I don't
Obviously
know.
more than Saw, but like $1 million.
$20 million.
Oh, okay.
Is it really?
Yep.
That's
Really?
a lot for.
And it made only
This-
$22.4 million at the box office.
That being said, there's a lot of CGI and there's a lot of like bigger set pieces towards the end and practical effects. So the money clearly all went into that.
I think so, but
Didn't
they
go
don't
into
like
the actor-
the
and Donnie
CGI. The
Wahlberg.
CGI looks very low budget.
Yeah, it did look
Yeah.
it looked very sci-fi movie-ish.
Exactly.
when it shows
Yeah.
up.
Very like TV show. Like I was saying, like the matte paintings and like later on some of the.
So Mr. Bland buries Billy the dummy, then he goes back to his hotel, and then Donnie Wahlberg shows up with the dummy,
Yeah. And he's like talking with it.
He's like
shaven like Donnie Wahlberg does.
Yeah, and he's like interrogating him with the dummy, like he's mouthing the words. He's like, "Oh, why did you kill your wife there?" Which is really funny. So it's like he dug up the thing. He thinks he's burying evidence.
he's bringing some levity to this movie.
Oh, much needed levity because who wants to be with this Australian guy for an hour and a half?
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
from that point on, I think that then Mr. Bland goes back to the coroner, and the coroner tells him the story of the boy who disappeared. when he was a
Yeah,
child.
so he has a flashback.
Is this when the coroner is like, look at all the victims, and he's showing them all these
This
pictures?
is part of the same scene.
And then the guy
That's
gets up.
so funny, where they're all sitting down, and the guy's like, "Why did you take photos of these?" And he's like, "I have to. It's my job."
But they're all pictures of the crime scenes.
Yeah, he's like, it was for my job. But I will say,
I love it. Okay, I get hard.
This flashback was pretty well done.
I actually like
Okay,
it.
well,
Yeah.
this is my favorite part,
Yeah.
the flashback, because number one, it is like a sold out audience to see like a dummy show,
Which is- okay.
such a funny idea.
Not only that, but they built this entire huge theater. It's called the Guignol Theater, which I guess is like, he said it was like a
Grand Guignol,
yeah.
if you will.
He said it's a grand theater. It was called the Guignol, which is like a
Wink.
yeah.
Grand Guignol is a French tradition of basically just like violent theater.
Yeah, and I think there was it was like Le Theatre de Grand Guignol.
yeah. And what it was like you'd see a play where the play would like have a lot of murder in it and a lot of gross stuff. Like that's what its selling point. So when you say something like Grand Guignol, what you're alluding to is the fact that there will be a lot of over-the-top violence for the sake of violence.
Yeah,
It's going to be a violent puppet show.
Yeah, which is so bizarre. So it's like the entire town. I think they like cross a lake. There's like a bridge.
Yes,
so
there is
stupid.
like a moat that is like 5 feet wide. They have to take a boat
Why
across
would you
a
do that?
fog enshrouded thing. That's like the
is
part of
so
the video
weird.
game where you're like, I can't believe I have to do this every time I want to cross.
Yeah,
You get in the
exactly.
boat,
Damn it,
you
I gotta get a
paddle,
raft.
and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I get it. It's so the game can load when this happens.
Yeah, so can the
movie
movie.
had to load.
And so I guess the idea is like they built this gigantic theater just for this show, but it seems to be her kind of headquarters. Mary Shaw's sort of
Apparently, she seemingly lives there, or at least afterwards. It seems
like is the show that popular?
Yes.
It seemed like everyone loved it
You
except
cannot get
that
enough
one
of it.
little shit boy.
But I'm
So
laughing.
in the middle of the show, so a little shit boy is like, I can see your lips moving. And everyone's like, oh. And the little kid's like, what?
I can.
Yeah.
And
she
then
kinda
this is
calls
my
him
favorite part, is that the dummy gets so indignant. He's like, you don't think I'm real? I'm going to show him I'm real. I'm going to show him I'm
in
real.
like that type of voice.
And then the audience starts applauding.
because she's like,
And the
quiet,
dummy's
Gabbo.
like, why are you laughing? This is real.
But I love how she's lit on stage. The lighting is amazing, and this movie it looks very slick. Like it's very well kind of shot, I think. But her lighting is so funny. The dummy is lit normally, but her face, and the actress has an amazing horror face. Like it's so weird looking. But the way that her face is lit is straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah, of
Nobody's
course.
going to be watching this on stage and like
She has to
delightfully
hide
clapping.
her
Listen,
lips.
it's all about the, chemistry she has with the dummy.
Yeah. I mean, Black Devil doll,
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, that's how that romance
Jesus
works,
God.
right? In that movie.
Yeah.
For people who still have no idea what we're talking about, we did an episode on Black Devil
Yeah.
Doll.
Yeah.
Check it out.
We did it in the same episode we did the Bret Michaels.
Oh, the worst. So yeah, she wins the audience back because it's such a convincing argument, and she's staring daggers at this kid. And then it comes back to present day, and he's like, that kid disappeared.
And,
Not long
we don't
after.
know what happened after that, but
Well, yeah, you can kind of find out. It's revealed
you
later.
find out later. But the guy is just like he disappeared.
Yeah, he's like he disappeared,
Yeah,
and then
when do we find that out? He tells him later. I mean, Mr. Bland just keeps going like back to the theater, back to the corner.
it's literally
to get more
I'm
information.
Back to the
looking at my
hotel.
notes right now, and it's like Guignol Theater, Mortician, Guignol Theater, Mortician.
That's the whole movie. Yeah.
Yeah, basically he kind of explains later on that the kid goes missing. The whole town remembers, it was Mary Shaw because the kid pissed her off during the performance.
Doesn't the town love Mary Shaw's
I don't-
show, though?
who knows?
Like, they
That's
love it. They can't get enough
Can I
of
just
it.
say, Mary Shaw is like the least scary name ever. It's so plain. It sounds like it should be
But
something
that's
from
what's
like
scary about it.
George.
She could be
W.
making
Shaw.
oatmeal.
Yeah, I guess.
And Robert Shaw, he was a scary actor.
Yeah, it's just
You
it's
should have
too
seen his
plain.
ventriloquist show.
I'm not the dummy. You're the dummy.
But he goes back to his dad and he kind of tells some of the story. And then his dad's like, well, I think this is the soup eating scene.
Yeah, it's kind of like he confronts his dad, and he's being fed soup by the
She's
wife.
like, I made it myself.
But so he kind of reveals that the town, I guess it's like a Freddy Krueger situation where the town, turned vigilantes. I
Because
think
they were like, she was the only suspect when he went missing, so we killed her.
yeah, so they,
How could she be the only suspect?
I don't
Like,
understand.
Wouldn't you be like, it's probably his dad, and only one kid? I could understand multiple kids.
For sure, yeah.
And if they
Yeah.
were all hanging around Mary Shaw's Grand Guignol Theater, but just one?
Just-
and you cut her tongue out for that?
Yeah, exactly. You cut her tongue out and then, like, I don't know, cut her throat or something like that. But then we're missing one scene. The mortician mentions that when she died, I guess his dad was also a mortician. So the mortician is remembering when he's a child, hanging out in the,
Oh yeah, she's like, and Mary Shaw had one request: make me into a dummy. And it's like, wait, did the mortician? And he did it.
So the mortician is a freak.
Okay,
for him to do that,
nobody would.
She asked me to, so I have to.
I can understand. Okay, like maybe draw some lines or something on my face to make my mouth look like a puppet
So
mouth.
you heard it here first, folks. Colin wants to be turned into a ventriloquist dummy when he dies.
First of all, I never said that. But is it implied that he actually like cut her? Well, he has like a jar of like glass eyes and stuff like that.
They're all
I've been
creeps.
waiting my whole life to do this, and finally someone's asked. Do you think the dad just wanted to do it, and he told his son, yeah, she asked me to turn her into a ventriloquist dummy? That makes more sense.
As one final like,
I had to do it. It was my job.
Wouldn't it make more sense if for some fucked up reason the town turned her into a ventriloquist dummy?
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
But anyway, so it's
why would they?
that she's getting revenge.
But why would they? Why would they grant her request? If this was like a town that murdered her in cold blood.
Bad after it.
She loved dolls. So
and then she
much,
said, she wanted
doll.
all 101 of her dolls or something to be buried with her in separate graves. Yeah, so they
it's
have
like. Did the town love her? Or did the town conspire to kill her?
It was a love-hate relationship.
It was love murder. Yeah, so they gave her her own grave.
It's like a Black Devil doll like relationship.
They bury her out in the woods, but like she's got like a nice grave, and then every individual dummy has like its own grave, like with a name.
That's a lot of work. 100 graves for a fucking bunch of dolls.
Yeah, like you would have just said
Too
like,
much.
"Oh, sure, no problem, Mary. Yeah, we'll do that." And then into the
As you're
dumpster.
cutting her tongue out.
Into the dumpster they go.
No, they'd be at like a Salvation Army. You're like, who donated all these ventriloquist
And then at a
dummies?
certain point, Donnie Wahlberg shows up at the graveyard, and he's like, "Hey, baby, hope you don't mind. I have a family reunion or something something like that." And then he's like
and he's munching. He's like, oh, these Wahlburgers are delicious.
he's about to dig up all the graves, but then later he finds out they were empty.
The Greenall Theater.
April just turned into a ghost and flew away.
She's not here anymore. I don't know where she went.
Okay, rest in peace, April.
RVD.
We'll make you into a dummy as you requested.
Oh no!
Okay, thank you.
I had her sign a contract. Well, this is funny. Okay, so the Greenall Theater, and I remember when this movie, I can't remember where I heard this, but they were saying it was inspired by, James Wan got the idea from this place called House on the Rock in Wisconsin. And I looked it up. We just watched a video before we started recording. But it's this bizarre house. It's like a tourist attraction. And it was like some wannabe architect who was a huge fan of Frank Lloyd Wright. And apparently he had a run-in with Frank Lloyd Wright when he was young, or as like a child. Showed him some designs, and Frank Lloyd Wright insulted his work, said he would never hire him to build a chicken coop. And then out of spite,
Paint my chicken coop.
Make me.
do this amazing Art Deco chicken coop. But
Now that
so
I'd like to see.
out of spite, when this guy grew up, I guess he became rich or something like that, designed this abomination of a house. It's just like this
It's just a humongous house. It almost looks like a
humongous
museum.
house with it has the world's biggest merry-go-round inside. It
You
just
gotta look it up. It's really
have to look
insane
at it.
what's
Wait,
in it.
you keep saying this, and there is no giant merry-go-round in Dead Silence.
no.
But there's a room of dolls.
I'm getting So it's a full of collections of things. So like collections of like antique armor, blah blah blah, and it has like a recreation of like a medieval town inside, like cobblestone streets and stuff like this, and it has this huge doll collection. So anyway, that's its own thing. Look up House on the Rock. It has really nothing to do with this other than the dolls, but anyway.
Yeah, because what we find out is in the Grand Guignol Theater, this is near the end of the movie.
Well,
so-
no, it's
but I'm
during
getting lost in
one
the
of
narration.
his visits to the Grand Guignol.
Yeah, but nothing much else really happens. I mean, the old mortuary guy gets it. There's not really a neat scene, but there's a scene where he goes under his house. It's creepy,
You're skipping ahead. He kind of
I know,
finds.
but we're going long though, so we can't.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Oh,
It's okay. I'm just saying we don't need to go.
April's like, I gotta edit these
We don't need
episodes.
to go through necessarily every scene. We just get the highlights.
well, he finds.
Wait, first they go back to his dad's house, then they go back to the theater,
No,
then
okay.
they go to the mortuary.
Anyway, in one of the many trips to the Grand Guignol Theater, he finds Mary Shaw's notebook. I guess the one that we saw her
Yeah.
writing during the opening credits.
Yeah.
Perfect doll.
What could that be?
Expression? Question mark?
Why does she want to make a perfect doll? I mean, clearly to fuck it. Why else would she want to make a
She's
perfect doll?
obsessed with
Plot
dolls.
is very, very. Yeah. What if she like possessed like a real doll or something? You know, those like sex dolls.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty funny.
Really creepy.
There we go. So, the Mortician gets it. That's a pretty creepy scene.
It reminded me of that scene in The Visit, which I realized was
Yeah,
obviously years
yeah.
later. But
It's like takes
there's
place in a
something
crawl
creepy about,
space.
crawl spaces under houses that you can like crawl around in.
Yeah, that's
but
because
not
animals
stand
go
up.
and die there all the time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
would not want to be like a plumber. You don't really see them as much in Canada, I don't think. Crawl spaces.
Crawl spaces? Yeah.
Yeah. One thing we haven't mentioned yet, which is really, really small and kind of dumb, but kind of cool, which is right before Mary Shaw, or as the puppet strikes, everything like goes quiet.
Yeah, which is
But
kind of neat.
It's confusing because it's not like the scene is completely devoid of sound. It's
Mm-hmm.
more just like the score stops and maybe any ambient sound is,
and
because they're still
the
making
actors
noise.
in the scene realize the score is gone. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, no.
Hey, wait a minute.
Exactly. So like they're shuffling around, we can still hear them move, but like all other sound is gone.
Hey,
and they're
hey,
like,
where'd the score go? Turn the score up. Give me a close-up.
Yeah.
A close-up.
So yeah, he and Donnie Wahlberg gets a shotgun, and they decide to revisit the Grand Guignol. How many times have I said this?
Grand Guignol.
They go back to the
Don't
theater.
say it one more time, or Mr. Grand Guignol
There's a
himself
really
will
funny
show up.
scene at the house where Donnie Wahlberg is like, "You're coming with me. We're going back to the station." And then he's like,
Don't make me
"Okay."
chase you.
And then Jason or Bland guy just like pushes him and runs away.
Yeah,
It was
Donnie
funny.
Wahlberg has a really funny dub line where he's like, I've only got a half tank of gas.
yeah. So he
had to
chases him to the
explain it.
theater. Johnny Wahlberg gets his shotgun, and they decide to do some exploring. They find like her old, I don't know,
doll studio.
doll studio where she used to live, and it's like he kind of knocks a curtain, and then like the curtain falls off, and there's like all the glass cases with like the 100 dolls, I guess, have all been dug up, and they're all on display.
It's all perfectly preserved, of course.
And then they find the kid that went missing, which is actually kind of,
He would be like rotted.
well, he's been
He's
like,
been preserved. Gotcha.
yeah, taxidermy.
As a doll.
Yeah, and he's not a doll, he's a marionette, completely different art form,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he's kind of strung up on these wires. It's kind of creepy, and he's all kind of
it's
rotting.
creepy, yeah.
And then he kind of like,
Hey, wait a minute, wait a minute. So the townspeople killed you, and you cursed them for doing something
That you
you
did.
actually did?
Yeah.
Why didn't any of the townspeople then reverse curse you?
exactly.
Come after
She was
you.
completely guilty.
Yeah, so she's
was
killing.
completely- yeah.
So, but it's really funny. He kind of like the doll moves a bit, and then Donnie Wahlberg gets spooked, and then the guy who is clearly pulling the strings, he's like, "That was me, by the way."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
so you know.
we got it.
Donnie Wahlberg just starts shaving. He's like, oh, it's the only thing that
Yeah.
makes me calm.
And then there's just like a bunch of like things like flying at them, lots of kind of like jump scares.
No, what
yeah.
happens is that there's like a clown doll who's like,
Yeah.
you may have met my brother Jigsaw in the Saw movie.
We didn't mention that she can throw her voice. So,
Yeah, well,
like,
she is a ventriloquist.
She's been using people's voices to trick them into going.
Yeah, so actually the
movie.
doll from Saw does have a cameo in this scene.
Oh, is he one of the dolls?
No, he's actually sitting in the foreground in one of the dolly shots.
They kind of pan over to the clown, and you see Jigsaw.
I know all you Saw heads, his name is not called Jigsaw. I don't remember what the doll from Saw's
His name is Billy.
It's all.
His name is Billy?
It's also
apparently.
Billy.
So 2 movies.
Right, Billy
with,
the
with
puppet.
a Billy doll.
To Billy,
Which, James Wan has admitted that Billy Puppet in Saw is just a ripoff of the doll that shows up in Dario Argento's Deep Red that like comes in on a tricycle at one
Oh,
point.
really? Oh, yeah, because he does come in on the
Now you
tricycle.
know.
Did we see Deep Red? Is that the one with Cameron Mitchell? No.
No,
Thinking
that's
of a different movie.
oh, I forgot that
Deep
one.
Red was David Hemmings,
Oh.
and
We saw it.
it's a giallo.
We saw the other
that
one,
the first kill is like a woman being smashed through a glass.
Okay.
It's a fun one.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're coming back to the climax of Dead Silence,
Where they start shooting ghosts. So they Donnie Wahlberg is letting loose with a shotgun, and he's
This feels like they're like, I vividly remember this from seeing it the first time, where I'm like, this is the best they could do. The like doll faces stretch with like CGI.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
the worst.
it's kind of like she's jumping from doll to doll, and they're just like stretching out it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good.
looks
So yeah,
bad.
he's shooting them one by one, and the guy's just like, fuck it, and he throws the Lancer, and the whole place catches on fire.
Now, would this movie be better or worse if all the dolls practically like jumped off the shelves
Yes.
and were coming after
Better.
them?
Yeah, if
Much
they just
better.
flew off, because it's just like something they didn't post that kind of sucks.
All the dolls can really do, it's like, why are you afraid of us? We could just turn our heads and move our eyes. That's our only move.
Yeah, they don't really seem to do
it's
anything.
creepy.
Because Mary Shaw doesn't really, like, the dolls themselves.
Mary Shaw, she stands behind a clown doll, and like in the unrated version, her tongue comes out. Wait, so what happened in the theatrical version?
we don't
Just the
know.
clown doll's like, she just peeked her head out. She's like, hello.
Yeah, I guess that shot
she's just
wasn't there,
Looking
or
scary.
Yeah.
or she just didn't
Because
have
they
the
blow her
tongue.
away with a shotgun. That's when she jumps in the dolls, and they're like, we gotta kill all these dolls.
Yeah, so Donnie Wahlberg, they're kind of crossing this, bridge across the stage, or one of the.
And they know, they actually tell each other, like, don't scream. That's how she gets you
But
when
Donnie
you scream.
Wahlberg, he screams.
He falls and he screams. Hey, to be fair, if I fell off this, platform 100 feet above the stage, I would probably
If I
scream.
fell off a platform, I would probably scream as much as when I wake up from a nightmare. Not at all. Just, and then I would die.
Well, that happens later when Bland guy he falls into some water or whatever, and he does like he like stops himself from screaming.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually a cool shot where, Donnie Wahlberg, when he gets killed, it's cool. When he screams and she like grabs him out of the air.
yeah, she
Yeah.
grabs him like
It was
halfway
like
halfway
a
down.
acrobatic kind of.
Yeah, she drags him
And
into
then
the
Donnie
darkness.
Wahlberg has just enough strength to push himself past the drapes with his big screaming mouth, and he's like, "Oh, I got no tongue."
He has no
Of course,
tongue, and
we
he
see his
falls,
razor
and then
on
his
the
razor
ground.
electric razor falls out.
But
It's
he
really
didn't
funny.
get to.
Oh, that's
he
great.
didn't
And it
get
gets a big close-up.
He didn't get to use the razor at all.
What's he gonna do?
Oh yeah, like it's Chekhov's razor. Like he's
yeah.
like,
You're
I got the one tool that can
Wait,
stop
you're,
her.
you're saying razor, and people are probably thinking of like a razor blade. It's an electric shaver.
Yeah.
electric shaver. There you go. Yeah,
They don't work the same way.
Why, when you rip someone's tongue out, does it make their face long?
Well, I guess you
Their
have to
jaw
you have to
broke, I
stretch
guess.
their
It's
jaw
just-
open to
But
get
it's
the tongue.
to a comical amount, though.
They look like Bruce Campbell, like in Army of Darkness, when he gets his face.
Oh, yeah, when he
stretched.
gets
It's like,
That's true. So then, Mr. Blandy McBlanderson, the whole theater is like burning down in the background. Again, looks really, really bad, the CG. And then
Well, I feel like there's a sequence that I'm sure on the page, James Wan and Lee Winnell were like, this is going to be like Inferno when like the woman goes under the water and there's like cool stuff, but it just kind of looks like murky, like Ontario style water with a bunch of dummies in it.
or like in Big Trouble in Little China, where he's
It's
like
a lot
underwater
of, like, underwater
with all the
stuff.
corpses and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, this was just. It
So-
just felt like filler.
Yeah, so Blandy guy, he runs back to his house to confront, I don't know, again, his dad.
His dad again.
And he finds his dad. He finds the doll there, the Billy doll, and then he finds his dad in the chair and kind of knocks him over by accident. And it's one of the best reveals. It's so funny. It's like his dad's back. All of his like organs have been removed, and there's like a kind of
Okay.
The wooden
So first
thing.
of all,
Yeah.
if I saw that, this is the first thought I had. I would have gone, I don't know what's going on here. What is this? Did my dad just get killed a couple hours ago and someone put a wooden thing in him? But no, Mr. Bland realizes right away, my dad was a dummy.
he has a series of flashbacks that we see like
Saw style.
Yeah, so we see
See everything from the other angle.
Yeah, so from the first time that he arrived at the house to meet his new stepmom, we see, oh my God, that she was standing next to the dad and puppeteering him the entire time.
Okay, so I have a question here. Is his stepmom supposed to be a dummy as well?
Yes, because he finds the sketchbook, and when he turns over that thing that says "perfect doll," it's her face. So
Okay.
Yeah, see, I
It's
didn't
im-
even get this.
it's
when I watched it.
implied that she was the perfect doll that Mary Shaw was creating, and that
Yeah.
Mary Shaw can only possess dolls, so she was possessing
She was
this.
possessing her.
Because
and
she
the doll was
kind of said, Mary Shaw's ghost said that.
puppeteering.
So the movie ends with Mr. Bland going, no, screaming and being attacked. I mean, if I was him, I'd be like, I don't even like my dad. So it's not a big shock.
Well, he does look at her, and then Mary Shaw's face comes out of her face, like
very like.
Yeah, but you can't hurt me unless I
kinda
scream, Mary Shaw.
it's a
So I'm good.
frightening thing. I mean, again, like I would
It
I would
was
scream.
it was a good reveal. It's a gotcha moment
Hmm.
that I enjoyed. while it is very stupid.
I
of
love how
course.
they have the flashback to showing how
Yeah.
the dad was eating soup.
Yeah.
How she like,
Yeah, and it was like coming out dead alive.
but it was
style.
like she was
bowl
storing it in a
in
bowl
there.
in like his.
I think
body
it would have been
cavity.
funnier if, a big reveal like, I was the doll all along. And the guy's like, yeah, I knew that. Raises his shotgun, blows her away.
Donnie Wahlberg
The
should have come
end.
back.
That was actually the. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the new Chucky movies.
No.
There's one of them ends with there's a big reveal that like the star of the original Chucky movies gets a package in the mail and he opens it up and it's Chucky and like Chucky comes out of it as the guy's talking on the phone and then suddenly Chucky turns around and the guy's like a shotgun in his face and just blows Chucky away and that's the ending of the movie.
Wait, is this the brand new one?
No.
Like the
Yeah, brand. That one is. I think it's the one. It's not the newest new one.
Okay, it's not the
It's
remake.
the one before that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it's not the remake. Yeah, because there is two. Because they're split universes. There's the Don Mancini ones,
Oh my god.
and then the remake with Aubrey Plaza, which is not the original guy who made it wasn't involved in that one.
Oh, what the fuck? That's weird.
You didn't know that? And there's also a TV show coming out
Oh god.
of the original universe. I guess the Chuckyverse.
Okay, so I would not recommend this movie. I'm sorry.
Ah.
You guys would
I would recommend it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, and it's like
It's like a big episode of Goosebumps.
If
when
you're
I-
in the mood for something kind of low stakes horror movie, sure.
Sure, yeah, and when I was reading reviews for *Malignant*, they were going, "Oh, the James Wan who directed *Dead Silence* is back," and so I'm like, "Yeah, we should probably revisit *Dead Silence* because I remember the reveal at the end being very silly and cheesy, and
So much better in
you can
Malignant.
kind of see some hints of it here."
I agree. There are some similarities for sure.
It's definitely not what he became known for later with the Conjuring and Insidious movies. They were just sort of like straight ahead, serious horror films. But this is a little bit more fun. I think if
If one of the dolls knew like martial arts or Donnie Wahlberg knew martial arts at the end of the movie and started like fighting the dolls.
yeah, it needs more Donnie Wahlberg. And I think if you swap out,
It'd be amazing if like the guy's like, I know martial arts, Donnie, I can possess you and fight through you, Dirty Ho style.
or I wanted Donnie
I'd be
Wahlberg
there
to
for
show
that.
up at the end with his shotgun, but he's still missing his tongue and his mouth is all stretched out.
Yeah, he's like, I never like talking anyway.
He has some, and he's like shaving while he's like cocking the shotgun.
Yeah,
It'd be amazing.
yeah. I shave because I have no feeling on my face. The only way to make me feel alive. Anyway, so that was Dead Silence. April, not a
it's
fan.
available on iTunes if you want to rent it. I would go for the unrated version.
Why not?
Yeah, why
You got to
not?
see the giant CG tongue.
Yeah.
I heard a funny story of someone went up to James Wan and Lee Winnell when they were doing a signing and brought a copy of Dead Silence. And when they saw it, they were both like, ugh. And then Lee Winnell turned to James Wan and went, I guess this one's one of yours, right?
Yeah, and if you want to email the podcast, we're at no such thing as a bad movie at gmail.com. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/no such thing as a bad movie. And as we have mentioned, we did a little mini episode on Malignant. If you're on the $5 level, you get a mini episode every 2 weeks. So that's coming out next week. Join the Patreon to hear our thoughts on that. And if you want to find us on Twitter, we're at Twitter at No Such Thing Pod. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at April Atmansky.
You can follow me on Twitter, DeClueJ. If you want some horror film challenge, we're doing the Super Scary Movie Challenge, where it's 31 prompts. So check that out on my Twitter. I think it's pinned at the top. Or you can follow me on Letterboxd at Justin DeClue, DECLOUX, the letter J.
You can follow me on Twitter, Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA.
And that's it for this week. Next week, will it be spooky? Will it be regular?
Yeah, it'll be spooky.
I feel like it'll be Frankenstein oriented because I think April gets the next pick.
I can't remember who the next pick is. It might be me. We'll see. Yeah, so thank you for joining us and stay spooky. I'm April Atmansky.
yeah.
I'm Justin DeClue. Oh no, we got to come up with our super
spooky
scary
names.
name.
I'm not doing
Okay,
that
we'll do it
until
for-
not yet,
for
not
next
yet. We're not there yet. So.
Okay, and remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie.